received a package in ancient times. Inside was a portal leading straight into the miniature kingdom. The villagers inside had been starving for 2 years, and they had started eating dirt. I quickly crumbled the pastry beside me and scattered the pieces down. The dirt-eating villager froze in shock. He scooped up the soft crumbles and took a massive bite. So fragrant, so sweet. Food was literally raining from the sky. He had no time to be amazed. He snatched every crumb and sprinted home because right at that moment, his little brother was about to chop off his own left hand to eat. "Hey Zane, we have food!" Zane turned to look at his brother. "Is that food? That much?" Zane thought he was hallucinating, but the sky really was raining food. He burst out the door, and sure enough, food was falling from above. But what truly shocked him was the source. Parting through the clouds was a pair of enormous, pale, delicate hands, fingers crumbling a massive round pastry and letting the pieces fall. Whose hands were those? A divine being? Stop standing there like an idiot. Come help me pick this up. There's nothing to see up there, Ray. Are you blind? There's a hand in the sky. Ray looked up, confused, and saw nothing. He bent down and picked up a chunk of pastry. "Just eat. I think you're actually losing it." Zane tasted sweetness. He was so moved he nearly cried. "It's sweet." Ray had given up on his brother entirely and rushed out to gather food from the street. All around, people were crouched in the street, stuffing food into their mouths. Watching Ray collect food, they snapped to their senses, scrambled home for pots and buckets, and threw themselves into the effort. Everyone wanted to grab more than the next person, wishing they could haul every last crumb home. "There's a hand in the sky. Stop making excuses to slack off. You want to go back to starving? Get over here and pick it up." The kids weren't happy about it, but they put their heads down and joined in. Soon, every family had gathered at least a few baskets, or several buckets full of pastry crumbles. Those pastries were tiny snacks to me, gone in a few bites, but to the miniature kingdom, it was a full-on harvest. Every family started boiling soup, because they had no idea if food would ever fall from the sky again. So they stretched it out, diluting it with water to make it last, hoping to squeeze out a few more meals. Watching them live like this, I felt too guilty to eat another rose pastry myself. There were 6 pieces on the plate. I decided to crumble every single one and drop it all down. But then I thought again. Just pastries wouldn't give them balanced nutrition. While they ate, I was already planning how to improve their living conditions. The village had no water source at all. The ground was cracked and bone dry. So I decided to bring them rain first. But before that, I needed to find a proper spot to store the cardboard box the system had given me. I had transmigrated into a cultivation novel as the villainous supporting character. All I had to do was complete the mission, and I could go back to my original world with billions in assets. But my very first thought, hard pass. No bills, flying on swords, zero mortgage. Who in their right mind would go back? My full slacker mode attitude got shut down by the system instantly. In the blink of an eye, the system dumped an entire miniature kingdom in my lap to manage. Luckily, my role was the sect leader of Moonspire sect, so I had a fairly large estate. I carried the box to the music room, deliberately shaking it on the way, but the village inside showed no signs of an earthquake. Good to know. After setting the box down, I headed over to the neighboring peak, where my disciples lived. The kitchen was at the base of the mountain. My second disciple, Finn, had just finished cooking 3 dishes and a soup to bring me when he heard my footsteps approaching. Finn dropped to his knees on the spot, practically trying to curl himself into a ball, desperately hoping I wouldn't notice him. "Finn, didn't I tell you no more kneeling?" Finn bowed so deep his forehead nearly touched the floor. Standing up was out of the question. He didn't even dare look up. The sight of him like that made my blood boil, and I couldn't help wondering just how awful the original soul had been. I lifted the dishes out of the food carrier and found 3 dishes: braised fish, beggar's chicken, and stir-fried cabbage, with egg drop soup and steamed rice. I had Finn debone a chicken leg and mince the meat into pieces small enough to feed ants, and do the same with the fish, every bone removed. Finn nodded right away. As long as he wasn't the one being minced, he was fine with anything. The original soul had owned a white jade pendant, polished down to the size of a grain of rice, worn around the neck and turned into an inventory space. I had looked inside. Only a soul whip. The memories I inherited from the original soul were incomplete. I had a rough sense of what all 10 disciples looked like and their order of seniority, but I had no idea what any of them were called, let alone where the original soul had stashed her assets. A lot of things I'd have to figure out on my own. The nice thing about inventory space, though, was that whatever you put in came out exactly as it went in. No spoiling. Ever. I filled a bucket with water and tucked it into my inventory, then spotted some fresh, clean lettuce leaves in the kitchen. I had Finn mince those up too. Meat and greens, check, but I still needed eggs, milk, and fruit. Nutrition had to be balanced. While Finn chopped, I stood beside him boiling eggs. I didn't expect that to nearly give Finn a heart attack. "This is my job to do, master. You just give the orders. You can't be doing this yourself." I sighed. It was just boiling eggs. But Finn's mind had already gone somewhere much darker. What if master was in a bad mood and threw him into the pot instead? It had happened before, after all. Once Finn finished the lettuce, he waited for the eggs, smashed them flat, and chopped them into fine crumbles, then sorted each type neatly into separate bowls. I was genuinely impressed by his efficiency. Before leaving, I also helped myself to the goat milk from the kitchen. Back in the music room where I'd left the box, I walked in and stopped dead. The box had grown. And not just that. On the floor was a note written in modern characters. It read, "Pocket Realm Feeding Guide. Reminder, for those who have been starving for a long time, start with light, simple foods. Do not feed them meat right away." The back of the note had a simple hand-drawn map with a note at the bottom in small print. A new village or town unlocks every 2 weeks. Limit of 5. Currently unlocked, tiny village, tree 1. System detected. Player's room for housing the miniature kingdom is too small. This room has been converted into a spatial artifact by the system. As the box expands, so will the length and width of this room to ensure it can contain the entire miniature kingdom. No time to dwell on any of that. I pulled out the bowl of water I had stored, ready to water the farmland. I cupped some water in my hand and poured it over an empty stretch of land. Meanwhile, back in the village, people had barely finished eating before they were moving again. Everyone headed out to the stream to haul water. Ray carried his shoulder pole alongside the others. Nobody said a word word. The drought had dragged on too long. Even with food now, they'd die of thirst in the end. But on the way back, water loaded on his pole, Ray suddenly noticed something falling from the sky above him. Glistening droplets kept coming, splashing down onto the cracked, parched fields along the road. Snow? No, not rain either. The droplets poured in at a wide slant, like a waterfall plunging down a gorge, pouring endlessly over the farmland. And it moved. Finished with one field, it shifted to the next. Ray stood there, completely frozen. Was this a miracle? Heaven itself had revealed its hand. The villagers began noticing the fields changing around them and erupted with joy. They dropped their loads and fell to their knees toward the waterfall. A raspy voice cut through the crowd. "There's a hand in the sky. Can none of you see it?" It was River, the village chief's son. Someone asked carefully, "Scholar, why do you sound just like my daughter, talking nonsense?" River said nothing more. He just looked up at the sky. My face appeared high in the air above them. I reached out again, water streaming from my palm, forming the waterfall that fed the fields. River stood with his head tilted back, perfectly still. And that's when I noticed him too. Back when I was dropping the pastry crumbles, I'd been so caught up watching them scramble that I'd forgotten to talk to them at all. "Can you hear me?" River hesitated for just a second. He set down his bucket and knelt. Yes! All the children in the village came pouring out of their homes, standing in their yards with their heads raised high. "There's a beautiful lady in the sky! I can hear you too!" The children burst into excited chatter, but many of the adults looked up with skeptical faces. They couldn't see a thing. Among the adults, only River and Zane seemed able to see me, and the villagers weren't buying it from a scholar or a bunch of kids. Some even figured they'd eaten a poisonous spider. "Everyone, put your pots and bowls outside in the yard, and I'll drop some eggs down for you." I'd planned to wait until evening, but I needed them to believe I was real, so I'd reveal myself now. Once they saw the eggs appear out of nowhere, they'd have no choice but to believe River. River gave a quick acknowledgement, then hesitated before asking, "Goddess, how should we address you?" "Jade, my name is Jade. What are your names?" "Goddess, I am River." "And I'm Zane." I gave a nod to show I'd noted both names. With that done, I settled back onto my little stool and reached into my inventory and pulled out the bowl of minced egg. As long as my face wasn't visible above the box, the villagers couldn't see me at all. River rose to his feet and shouted to the crowd, "Everyone go home and bring out your pots, set them outside your gates. The goddess is sending us eggs." The villagers were skeptical. Some didn't even bother listening to River, and just kept heading to the stream. "Scholar, you're not messing with us?" Just then, Ray came striding past with his shoulder pole and cut in, clearly fed up. "Setting your pot outside costs you nothing. If no eggs show up, you bring it back in. No harm done." If eggs do appear, then River was telling the truth, and I believe him. He's a scholar. Scholars don't lie. Fair point. Worth a shot. It's free. And with that, people scattered back to their homes, dragging pots out to their gates. Ray quickened his own pace. He had spoken up for River just now because he remembered that morning Zane had said the same thing. There was a hand in the sky. Ray had thought his brother was losing his mind. But now, maybe Zane had been right all along. That waterfall had been no natural thing. Meanwhile, Zane had already moved his family's pots and basins outside, and then started knocking on his neighbor's door. No answer. Just a woman's voice, wary and cautious. "Who's there?" Zane kept it short. "Bring out your pot. The goddess is handing out eggs." "You're here to rob my grain, aren't you?" "I have my own. I'm not here for yours." If you don't believe me, he picked up several buckets of food himself this morning. "Zane, you used to be a good person. No matter how hungry you got, you always held your ground. You never stole, never grabbed what wasn't yours. So why are you like this now? You must have gotten plenty of food in your yard this morning, so why are you coming to my—" Zane cut her off. "I'm counting to 3. If this door isn't open, I'm kicking it in." This was Zane after all, born with supernatural strength. A wooden door? Please. He'd put a hole through an iron one. The woman gritted her teeth and with trembling hands opened the door. "Bring out your pot. Make sure it's empty." The woman let out a quiet breath of relief and carried one of her pots outside, then set out a basin as well. Satisfied, Zane moved on without another word, already knocking on the next door. Whoever refused got a verbal warning. "One more second and this door is coming down." Everyone in the village knew Zane's reputation. Most chose to open up. Only a stubborn few were convinced he was there to rob them. For those people, Zane's method was simple: kick the door open. One old man came charging at him with a cleaver. Zane plucked it right out of his grip, carried the pot outside himself, set it by the gate, and walked away. The old man stood there stunned. He really hadn't come to steal a thing. River, meanwhile, was doing his own rounds door to door. Some households had full water jars and hadn't gone to the stream, so they hadn't heard what River had announced on the road. Each one had to be told personally. Some villagers stood guard next to their pots with children in their arms, terrified someone would make off with them. Others stared at their pots with arms crossed. "Let's see this goddess pull eggs out of thin air." I pinched a bit of minced egg between my chopsticks and placed it into Zane's pot first. Zane dropped to his knees. "Thank you, goddess." The rest of the villagers were speechless. They couldn't see my hand, but they could see a pair of enormous chopsticks descending from the sky. Heaven has revealed itself. One by one, the villagers fell to their knees, some even pinching themselves hard. This was real. By the time I was done, every family had received their share of egg. I smiled and spoke up. "Zane, River, tell everyone to go easy and not stuff themselves. From now on, I'll be feeding you at every meal." The two of them relayed my words, and the village erupted in gratitude. "River, could you ask the goddess, can we eat the eggs now?" Before River could even open his mouth, I cut in. "Go ahead and eat. I don't have a long list of rules, and you don't need to kneel every 5 seconds. River shook his head. "That won't do, goddess. You saved our lives. Kneeling is the least we can offer." The villagers didn't take their pots inside. Instead, they fetched their chopsticks and bowls and crouched by their gates, every face glowing with quiet happiness. Zane dragged out a stool. "Mother, sit down and eat." Ray had already neatly served up 3 bowls of minced egg, but their mother shook her head. "I can't. It would be disrespectful to sit in the presence of goddess." She was firm about it. She leaned against the doorframe and ate in tiny bites. Zane started to say something, then stopped. He glanced up at the sky and found me looking right back at him. No displeasure on my face, just a small, quiet smile. "Sit down. Thank you, goddess." "Mother, the goddess says you should sit." "Standing is perfectly fine for me." Zane gave up trying. Deep down, he figured figured the goddess wouldn't get upset over something like this. There was too much warmth in her gaze, too much patience. After the villagers had eaten their warm eggs, they gathered for a village meeting. River led it. He was a scholar and the chief's son. The villagers accepted him as the new chief without question. I propose we name 2 chiefs, since Zane can also see the goddess. 2 of us can look out for each other. 1 chief is enough for this village. The goddess will give orders to both of us anyway. I never went to school. I have no idea what a chief is even supposed to do. That's exactly why it works. You bring the brains, I bring the muscle. Words, you handle. Fists, that's on you. Hearing it laid out that way, Zane finally gave a reluctant nod. River set the rules. Everyone goes home and cleans themselves up, not just your bodies. Wash your clothes too. Chief, the water pooling outside the village is getting shallow. We're wasting it. If you see stray cats or dogs on the road, bring them home. First thing you do is clean them up. Things are different now. The goddess watches over this village. She saw our suffering and chose to feed us. The least we can do is keep ourselves clean and make a good impression. Second, when the goddess delivered our eggs and greens today, everyone saw that enormous pair of chopsticks. Delivering food to every single household one by one is not easy, and we can't just leave our pot sitting outside forever. So we will build one large communal pot and keep it here so the goddess can deliver food to one place, and we line up to collect our portions. River's real reason for proposing communal meals was to give me a better view of their lives, like watching ants carry food after you feed them. There's something oddly enjoyable about it. If everyone just hid away inside, the goddess would barely see them at all. One pot may not be enough. We don't know how long the goddess's blessing will last. Besides food, we need to ask for clean water too. We can't mix drinking water and food in the same pot, and if the goddess ever stops watching over us, we still need to be able to farm and grow our own food. Does anyone else have suggestions? I think we should carve a statue of the goddess and place it here. She has blessed us with food. We should offer her our devotion and faith. That actually leads me to my third point. How do we properly honor the goddess? The problem is we have no craftsmen. A statue can't be made overnight. I have memorized the goddess's face. I can sketch it, and when the time comes, a craftsman can carve from that. But may her likeness be shared with everyone? That decision belongs to the goddess herself. And while he was still turning it over in his mind, I suddenly poked my face out from above. I had been on my little stool this whole time, watching their every move and listening to every word. It's the divine lady, the children shouted first. But some of the older kids stood there blank-faced, heads tilted back, seeing nothing. The disappointment was impossible to hide. Why could the younger ones see her and not them? The adults heard the children's cries and immediately moved to kneel. I waved them off. No kneeling. River quickly called everyone up. The villagers were uneasy. They couldn't see the goddess, couldn't hear her voice. It made them feel helpless and small. Everyone stay where you are. Whatever happens next, don't panic. Before River could even translate, the children were already yelling. The goddess says don't move and don't be scared. The adults exchanged confused looks with no idea what was coming. I took a spoon and dug a deep hole in the ground. Then an enormous ceramic bowl descended from above. It was a noodle bowl, the one I had used for the minced lettuce. For tiny people the size of Zane and River, just over 9 centimeters tall, standing in that bowl would not drown them. I set the rim just barely above ground level, about 1 centimeter up, then packed the dirt around it firmly so it wouldn't shift. I ladled clean water in with a fresh spoon until the bowl was full to the brim. One child was too excited to contain himself. He came charging forward, arms flailing, and because he came in too fast, he pitched headfirst straight into the bowl. It happened so fast the child's parents had no time to react. Zane, however, moved instantly. He shot toward the bowl like a leopard, but stopped halfway, because a massive hand descended from above. I reached in and scooped the soaking wet child right out. The water in the bowl was ruined. The child was nearly scared out of his wits and burst into wailing sobs. I gently set him back on the ground. His parents rushed over and smacked him, convinced their child had defiled the goddess's gift, and terrified she would be furious. Panicked and furious all at once. I, on the other hand, was completely unbothered. In real life, I'd probably just walk away from a rowdy kid, but these were tiny little people. How could I possibly hold a grudge against a miniature child? I lifted the bowl out of the ground and instant chaos broke out. The goddess is angry! She's taking it back! Please, goddess, please don't be angry. We'll behave, we promise. The troublemaker's parents were spiraling. If the goddess withdrew her blessing, this father and son would probably be hacked to pieces by furious neighbors, or driven out of the village to fend for themselves. The father dropped to the ground with a thud and knocked his head against the dirt. Goddess, you are generous and merciful. If there is punishment to be given, give it to me alone. Do not let the others suffer for my child's mistake. I blinked, then quickly explained, the water's dirty now. I'm pouring it into the fields. I'll fill it up again fresh. River relayed this immediately. The village exhaled, and then they melted. She's so thoughtful. She even used the dirty water to irrigate our fields. Nothing goes to waste. You could even do laundry in that. When you go back to fetch water, don't forget to bathe. River reiterated it, and this time every single villager complied without a word of argument, because a child had barely fallen in, and the goddess had immediately emptied the bowl. The message was clear. She valued cleanliness. Then one villager had a moment of revelation. I know why only our 2 chiefs can see the goddess. Look at River. His clothes are clean and neat. Zane wears dark clothes so you can't tell if they're dirty, but his face is clean. And honestly, they're both pretty good looking. But Zane's brother Ray is decent looking too. Why can't Ray see her? Could it be because he hasn't washed his face in ages? That can't be right. My kid can see her and they haven't bathed either. A small voice nearby piped up, I can't see her. Could it be an age thing? The villagers started asking around about which children couldn't see her. In the end, it turned out only those under 7 years old could. Among the adults, the entire village had only 2 exceptions, River and Zane. The villagers looked the 2 of them up and down, and the only obvious thing they had in common was being tall, lean, and easy on the eyes. Maybe it's not about looks. River is a scholar. His late father saved lives in this village. River is the most respected and educated person here. Maybe that's why he can see the goddess. But what about Zane? My son Zane was born with supernatural strength. River can lead and govern. Zane can protect and keep order. The goddess chose them both for a reason. The village nodded as one. That made sense. I refilled the bowl while listening to all of this. Honestly, I had no idea why only those two could see me, but after hearing Lady Jiang's explanation, it actually made a kind of sense. I'd have to ask the system for the real answer. Either way, having someone who could see me was enough. For now, I just needed to focus on taking care of these tiny people. I placed the bowl back into the hole and filled it with fresh, clean water. Goddess, we would like to carve a statue in your honor. No need, I don't require offerings. Then may we set up a memorial tablet for you? No, I don't like seeing people put up tablets in my name. And with that, I pulled my head back out of the box and disappeared from view. The goddess has made it clear, no offerings, no tablets. She also said she dislikes being knelt to. From all of this, it's clear the goddess has no interest in rituals or ceremony. As for a statue, perhaps someday, but we don't have the skill for it yet, so that can wait. River's mind was running fast because the entire village now depended on the goddess to survive. Has the goddess given us permission to fetch water? The goddess has stepped away. Everyone may go fetch water, but I have one more thing to say. From now on, we need stricter discipline with the children. The goddess may not demand formality, but we cannot take advantage of her kindness and behave in ways that are disrespectful. The chief is right. We need to be on our best behavior in front of the goddess. The villagers dispersed, planning to use whatever was left in their water jars first, then come back here to refill. Soon, the whole village was scrubbing themselves and their clothes clean. I pulled my attention away from the tiny village. Things seemed stable over there for now. Time to go check on my second disciple. Down in the kitchen, it wasn't just Finn. Senior disciple Leon was there too. Junior, everyone's already eaten. Why are you still chopping and why so fine? That's not for us, is it? It's for Master. She's feeding ants. Wasn't a fox enough? Now ants too. So I'm prepping a variety, the more the better. Let me help then. I can handle a knife. Can ants eat raw eggplant? No idea. Once it's all minced, we throw it all in the pot and make vegetable porridge. Do we add seasoning? Ants can't tell good from bad anyway. Even if they hate it, it's not like they'll go tell Master. I had been standing in that doorway this whole time. And oh no, I had completely forgotten about seasoning. Add a little sugar. Ants love sweet things. I even set aside a small jar of honey. Master came by at noon and took the goat milk. Who knows how many ants she's feeding? That was an entire full basin. Should last them quite a while. Master came at noon? Did she give you a hard time? She just had me chop vegetables and mince eggs. Something's been off about Master lately. She hasn't hit me once this month. I don't know what she's waiting for. Senior, isn't that a good thing? You sound like you actually want her to hit you. You don't get it every single month. She finds a reason to use the soul whip on me. I even went to confess recently. Told her I'd accidentally killed one of her spirit fox cubs, and she still didn't do anything. I can take the hits. I'm used to it. What worries me is that she's holding it all in, and one day she'll snap and take it out on you two instead. Senior, please stop. I'm already scared. Junior, this is way too much food. Is Master raising giant ants? I honestly don't know. She just seems really invested in these ants. The two of them were so absorbed in their work that they didn't even notice me slipping in. I spotted a few dishes still steaming on the counter, so I quickly tucked them straight into my inventory. Whatever goes in hot comes out hot. Leon had just finished cutting the fruit and set it on a plate and watched it vanish before his eyes. Leon, true to his nature as the main character of this whole story, had nerves of steel. His expression returned to normal almost immediately. Your disciple Leon greets Master. Master, good to see you. Finn's guts were simply non-existent. I decided then and there to compliment him more often. Finn, well done. Skip the porridge for now. Pack me some seasoning, salt, sugar, and the usual cooking ones. With Leon there to steady the atmosphere, Finn was noticeably less terrified and carefully packed salt, sugar, vinegar, and the rest into separate jars. Watching him bustle around so earnestly, I decided he deserved a reward. Cook me one last pot of millet porridge and then you're off meal duty for the next 5 days. A 5-day holiday for Finn. I was truly a generous and benevolent master. Yes, Master. I'll have it ready right away. I packed a basin of raw flour, rice, and millet, uncooked, since there was already plenty of prepared food. And if I ever had to be away for a day, the tiny people couldn't just go hungry. Finn had finished ladling out the millet porridge, and I loaded everything I'd gathered into my inventory. Without realizing it, the sun had begun to set. Time to go feed the tiny people. I settled onto my little stool and looked out over the village. The people had not rested for a single moment all afternoon. Even the children had pitched in, and in the warm glow of the setting sun, the whole place felt alive. The village had come back to life. I remembered my first look at this place. Lifeless, hollow, suffocating. And yet, all it took was a little food, and they had come roaring back to life. Many of them were still thin and frail, but something in their eyes had completely changed. The goddess is here! The villagers streamed out of their homes and gathered in the open square. All 35 villagers filed in one by one. River looked up at me first, then bowed deeply. Please, goddess, grant us food. I felt deeply awkward. I knew there was no equality between us, but watching him beg like that felt wrong. I told him not to do it again. I don't like being bowed to. The goddess says not to bow. She doesn't like it. River looked like he'd made a mistake, his lips pressing together. Noticing the shift in his mood, I asked, can I just call you River? Something flickered in his expression. He looked up and a smile broke across his face. Of course you can. River, let's eat. River looked genuinely touched and gave a small nod. Zane, on the other hand, wasn't bothered at all by any of that. He wasn't the type to feel slighted because the goddess had spoken warmly to River and not him. He was focused on one thing. What's for dinner? Knowing how hard they'd worked all afternoon, I reached into my inventory and pulled out a bowl of white rice. It had been my own lunch earlier, kept warm in the inventory, still perfectly hot. This was spirit rice grown right here at Moonspire Sect. Good for the body in every way. The system had said to ease them into it gradually. Start simple. So I'd lead with the spirit rice, which would help restore what their starved bodies had lost. I scooped up the rice with a spoon and filled the stone basin, then carefully set it beside the water bowl. The villagers each picked up a grain of rice. Is this a dumpling? Every grain gave off a delicate fragrance. Just the smell alone was enough to clear your head. A single grain was larger than a child's palm. It smells so good. It tastes amazing. Oh my, this is the best rice I have ever eaten in my life. The goddess's food really is something else. Am I imagining things, or after eating this the exhaustion in my body just disappeared? The elders felt it most clearly. When they finished, a warmth spread through their entire bodies. No seasoning had been added at all, yet every single bite was rich with flavor. Zane had a big appetite and ate 5 full grains in a row. He couldn't tell if it was just in his head, but each grain seemed to dissolve almost instantly. He tilted his head back and called up, "Can I eat more?" "Of course. Everyone eat as much as you want. Whatever's left I'll take back. The goddess says she'll collect the leftovers, so eat up, everyone." With Zane leading the charge, the whole village lined up again for another helping. The real motivator was knowing the leftovers would disappear. Even the little ones forced down extra bites. Everyone ended up stuffed, but in the best possible way. I set out another container, goat milk this time. The villagers ran home for their bowls and spoons, planning to save some for before bed. Once everyone had taken their fill of goat milk, I collected all the containers, not out of stinginess. The village had wind and dust. Leaving bowls sitting out wasn't sanitary, and anything stored in my inventory stayed perfectly fresh. The tiny people headed home. Zane didn't go straight to bed. He ran through a full set of combat forms. Ray, meanwhile, was stressing out. The food could last a day or two, but if the goddess kept feeding them at every meal, the eggs at home would go bad before they could eat them. What a good problem to have. Lady Jiang watched her sons with a quiet smile. If you can't bear to waste it, then work harder and eat more. I like training on an empty stomach in the mornings. Eggs are good, but that rice was something else. Zane ran through 5 full sets of forms, and by the end his stomach was growling again. He scooped up some egg, mixed in some minced greens, and ate it all together. Across the village, River had lain down, but couldn't sleep. He kept turning over and over. His whole body felt like it was burning, but not from fever. It was something deeper. His blood felt restless, surging from the inside out. Left with no choice, he got up and ran laps around his courtyard, then said forget it and ran 3 full circles around the entire village. He finally made it home, breathless. I've never been one for exercise, and today I ran all that way without stopping. This is unreal. I feel like I could take on the world. River boiled water and took a hot bath. As his breathing slowly settled, he muttered to himself, "This makes no sense. My body has never been like this. Could it really be because of the spirit rice I had tonight? The white food and eggs the goddess gave us before, those just tasted good. But this rice tonight was different. Every part of me feels at ease, which means the rice is the special one." After his bath, River discovered he was hungry again. There were still some eggs left in the pot, so he ate another round. I was still watching the village, and tonight only Zane and River were still up and moving around, both having eaten again after working up a sweat. Everyone else in the village was calm and still. One by one, the villagers drifted off to sleep. I decided to call it a night too. What I didn't know was that in the middle of the night, many of the tiny people woke up starving. They ran to their kitchens and finished off every last bit of egg and minced greens they had left, and were still hungry afterward. Some of them were so hollow with hunger their stomachs felt like they were touching their spines. They gulped down cup after cup of water and lay awake praying for morning to come faster. The next morning, the first thing I did was check on the village. They were already up, crowded around the same spot where yesterday's rice had been handed out. Tables and chairs had been set up nearby, bowls and chopsticks all laid out neatly, but not a single person was sitting. Everyone stood below the platform. A few were pacing back and forth, visibly restless. I blinked. Were they already hungry? Had I slept in too long and left them starving? To save time, I skipped showing my face and skipped the greetings entirely. I went straight to pulling containers from my inventory. One filled with goat milk as usual, one of millet porridge, and 3 more with crumbled steamed buns, minced scallion egg stir-fry, and a cold salad of celery and soybeans. Not wanting to interrupt their meal, I set everything down and pulled my hand back, watching from outside the box. River looked up at the sky. The goddess left the food and disappeared. The villagers were practically howling with hunger and grabbed their bowls. The container of scallion egg stir-fry was emptied in no time. I was genuinely surprised. Their appetites seemed to have grown overnight. By the time the meal was finished, only a thin film of goat milk remained at the bottom of its container. The millet porridge was barely touched, and the other 3 were completely empty. I reached in and collected all 5 containers. The tiny people ate their fill and instinctively looked up at the sky. The goddess isn't here. Do you think she's grown tired of us? What if the goddess thinks we're eating too much? Honestly, we did eat a lot. I had 5 bowls of goat milk and went through so many buns and egg stir-fry. Same. I can't believe how much I put away. Did that rice last night open up our stomachs somehow? I ate way more than usual this morning. I'm actually worried that when I go back to farming, I won't be able to grow enough to feed myself. Stop guessing at what the goddess thinks. The moment we finished eating, she collected everything. That means she's watching us the whole time. And as for why she didn't show herself, do you really expect the goddess to come chat with us every single day? But not hearing from her, it just doesn't sit right with me. You're being greedy, plain and simple. She's feeding you every day and now you want conversation too? Back when I worked in town for other people, all I got was 1 meal. My wages were 2 flatbreads. Compare that to this and the goddess is beyond generous. I keep wanting to do something for her, otherwise I just feel unsettled. We're tiny, what could we possibly do for her? Alright, enough, stop overthinking it. Take your bowls and go wash them up. As for River and Zane, the 2 of them tracked down the village carpenter and spent the morning building a triangular prism. River picked up a calligraphy brush and on one of the slanted faces of the prism, wrote 3 bold characters, blessing stand. The name said it all, the stand where the goddess's blessing descended. Then Zane and the carpenter hoisted the marker up onto the platform where the village gathered. Since the goddess always delivered food to the open ground beside it, River decided this place needed a proper name for easy reference. As for the ceramic bowl buried in the ground beside the platform, they named it the Sacred Pool. Personally, I didn't buy into the fancy name. I still thought of it as just the bowl. While they were busy, so was I. I refilled the bowl with fresh water, then dug through my wardrobe for some old clothes I no longer needed and cut them into small patches of fabric. Before I knew it, the whole morning had slipped by. I can see the goddess's hand. The villagers out in the fields dropped everything and rushed home, grabbed their bowls, chopsticks, and plates, and hurried to the blessing stand. Today's main dish was noodles and savory meat sauce. The other containers held sweet and sour pork, lotus tofu, chicken leg meat, and egg drop soup. Everything except the soup had been cut into tiny pieces. Oh wow, there's meat. The goddess is so good to us. I haven't tasted meat in so long. The goddess had been keeping things pretty light for us before. I was starting to think she was a vegetarian. The villagers lined up one by one to serve themselves. The air was thick with the smell of food, so rich it made mouths water. No one pushed, no one cut in line, because there was plenty for everyone. They all knew they'd get their fill. In times like these, a full stomach was everything. Almost no one was picky, but today's spread was so generous that some villagers loaded up a full bowl of sweet and sour pork and another bowl of chicken on top of that. Watching them eat with such pure, unguarded joy, I couldn't help myself. I reached into my inventory and pulled out the beggar's chicken and sat there gnawing on it while I watched them eat. Because I fed them every day, food of every kind. The little kingdom quickly came back to life, but my endless giving started to make the villagers uneasy. That day, after the feeding, I reached into my inventory and pulled out two things, honey water and salt. I set the basin of salt down in River's courtyard and the basin of honey water in Zane's. Zane stared at it, confused. He looked up. The goddess had dropped something off and disappeared without a word of explanation. With no other choice, he grabbed a bowl and a spoon and took a sip. Sweet. Honey water. He headed straight out to find River. Hey scholar, you're handing out salt to everyone, right? The goddess left honey water at my place. Could you help distribute it too? That was a personal gift from the goddess. She gave it to you alone. She didn't say to share it. Keep it for yourself. But there are only 3 of us. We can't drink all of this. River didn't answer. He stood frowning, lost in thought. Zane followed his gaze to the large vat of salt sitting in River's courtyard and blinked. That's refined salt, isn't it? When people go to town, they buy coarse salt. This kind, white as snow, nobody around here can afford it. And the goddess just gave us a whole vat. Don't you think we've gotten a little too comfortable lately? What do you mean? When things were at their worst, the goddess gave us hope to keep living. But the longer this goes on, the more I worry people will get used to receiving without giving anything back. They'll start taking the goddess's kindness for granted. And if the goddess keeps giving us everything, food, supplies, all of it, while we offer nothing in return, then one day, we'll lose her blessing. Zane got it. Right now, we're completely dependent on the goddess. To someone like her, we mortals are probably nothing more than ants. So starting today, we need to be more intentional about how we raise the children. They need to understand that we live well because of the goddess's blessing. That reverence has to start early. What do you think? You're absolutely right, but honestly, I'm more of a punch-first kind of guy. Big ideas aren't really my thing. Zane didn't love thinking through complicated stuff like this. All I know is that the goddess saved my family's lives, and I'd do anything for her. What you said just now went right over my head. How about this? Just tell me who needs hitting. Fighting I can handle. I didn't hear any of that. By the time I set the basin down in Zane's courtyard, I heard my senior disciple's voice outside my door. Master, your senior disciple Leon requests an audience. Leon didn't waste words. He swept his robe aside, dropped to one knee, and sat with his spine perfectly straight. This disciple requests that Master grant him fasting pills. I thought carefully. Memories of the original soul-refining fasting pills surfaced in my mind. Vivid, detailed, almost like watching a recording. She had produced over 100 fasting pills in one session and stored them somewhere. Where exactly? That part had gone blank. I must have been quiet for too long. Leon's voice came again, dry and careful. Master, this disciple knows the rules. If Master is willing to grant the fasting pills, I will do anything you ask. I wrinkled my nose. Fasting pills taste like absolutely nothing. Terrible things. Master's body is disrupted by ordinary food, impurities that interfere with cultivation, and one fasting pill keeps you full for an entire month. Master has 10 disciples. Finn spends every day cooking for all 10 of us. A cultivator's priority should be cultivation, not cooking. If we all take a fasting pill, Finn will only need to prepare Master's meals for the next month. That actually got to me. Understood, I said. I was heading to the kitchen anyway. I'll drop the pills off on the way. Leon blinked. The fasting pills were going to Finn. That was not great news. Master's affection wasn't something most people could survive. The original soul had always focused her attention on Leon, and whenever she was in a bad mood, he was the first one to pay for it with the soul whip. The other disciples had it relatively easy. Leon pressed his lips together. Master really has changed so much. I just hope she wasn't poisoned. After Leon left, I went to the alchemy room. A pill furnace sat in the center. I arranged all the ingredients for fasting pills within easy reach. The original soul had possessed a 5-element spirit root: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, all 5. Her 10 disciples each held a single element spirit root and were considered prodigies. A 5-element root is the weakest possible talent, not enough to qualify even as a servant disciple. And yet the original soul had been anything but ordinary. She had cultivated 5 different elemental techniques simultaneously. Somehow, she excelled at all of them. Every single one kept advancing at a frightening pace, and her list of skills went on and on. Artifact forging, alchemy, puppet crafting, talisman making, beast taming, formation setting. Say what you will about her temper, and her disciples had plenty to say about her sanity. Her talent and instincts were flawless. She had formed a contract with a special alchemy flame called the Life Scroll Flame. Its temperature ran extraordinarily high, burning away every impurity in her ingredients and dramatically improving the success rate of every pill she made. White flame flickered to life at my fingertips. I added the ingredients one by one. It was my first time doing this, but the body moved on its own. Muscle memory taking over completely. One attempt, and I had a full batch. 12 pills per batch. each one smooth and luminous, filling the air with a faint medicinal scent. They tasted like absolutely nothing though. I ran 5 batches. 60 pills total, enough to last all 10 disciples half a year. But then another thought hit me. My disciples could cultivate. What about the little people? Could they cultivate at all? The fasting pill was harmless to the body. Could I grind one up and feed it to them? I was already reaching for more ingredients before I finished thinking about it. I refined 1 extra batch and stored everything in my inventory. I'd wait 5 days before going to find Finn. I had promised him 5 days off, and I kept my promises. On top of that, I also ground up 2 fasting pills. No immediate plans for them, but being ready never hurts. Back in the village, River had organized things. He'd asked every household to bring 2 bowls to his place, and everyone had received their share of salt. This salt looks like winter snow. I've never seen salt this beautiful. I almost don't want to eat it. When dinner time came, the villagers gathered at the blessing stand as usual and waited. No sign of the goddess. The goddess gave us food at noon. Maybe that means she wants us to cook for ourselves tonight? Should we just go home? I had just finished up in the alchemy room and walked into my chambers when I caught their murmuring. I sat down on the little stool and reached into my inventory. A basin of goat milk, a basin of scrambled egg crumbles, half a basin of chicken legs, half a basin of sweet and sour pork. But before I could set anything down, River called for a village meeting. I kept the basins in my hands. The moment that smell hit the air, nobody would be able to focus on anything else. Today, the goddess gave a personal gift of honey water to Zane and his family. A ripple of envy moved through the crowd. They assumed it was just a bowl's worth, nothing to overthink. Then River mentioned it was a full stone basin. Chief Zane can't drink all that himself, can he? Was it really just for him? Of course it wasn't. When I had set the basin down, I'd gotten distracted by Leon's voice and completely forgot to tell Zane to share it. I assumed he'd figure it out on his own. He didn't. The honey water had been sitting in his courtyard all afternoon, untouched, exposed to the open air, probably full of dust by now. I frowned. Giving River the salt and Zane the honey water was intentional. I wanted to help them build goodwill with the rest of the village, but Zane didn't seem like a selfish person, so why hadn't he shared it? I couldn't figure it out, but I didn't rush to show myself. I just watched quietly from outside the box. Zane can't drink it all himself, but it was meant specifically for him. Chief River, it's fine. We're grateful just to have water at all. We can't let the goddess think we're greedy. Everyone, listen up. What do you all want for the future? Have you given it any thought? I want to open a school here, teach the children to read and write during the day, but there's a condition. I want to establish the Moonspire sect. Only members of the sect will receive free lessons. Moonspire sect? Oh, that's the goddess's name. She called herself Moonspire. Chief River, you could rename the whole village and we'd still say yes, whatever you decide, we're behind you. From outside the box, I'd been about to step in and tell River not to bother, but then I listened to the villagers and thought about it from their side. If you were on the edge of starvation and your only hope was an invisible god who could vanish at any moment, of course you'd feel powerless. Of course you'd need something to hold on to. I let out a quiet breath and said nothing. When the meeting ended, I brought out the basins one by one. River turned at the sound and caught a glimpse of an enormous hand lowering a basin into place. Did she hear what I said? Just now. He looked up. The night sky gave nothing away. River's expression flickered with something almost like disappointment. The villagers lined up to serve themselves. Thanks to the spirit rice, everyone's appetite had grown noticeably. The basins were empty before long. I quietly collected the empty ones and set down a basin of sliced apple. Fruit too! The little people ate with pure joy, every little belly round and full. I sat there watching them eat, and quietly retrieved the honey water basin from Zane's courtyard. I finally understood why people get so addicted to raising sim games. Just watching these little people eat, I could do it all day. After dinner, Zane went home to practice his forms and found the honey water basin gone. Ray stood in the doorway uneasy. Zane, why did the goddess take it back? Zane shook his head. He didn't know either. He looked up, waited. No sign of her. He shrugged and started his training. Across the village, River went for an evening run, came home and washed up with warm water. He stepped outside and found the neighbor's child standing silently in his courtyard. The boy was quiet, the kind of quiet that made you forget he was there. When he was born, the branches outside had been crowded with crows. His family called him unlucky and threw him out without even giving him a name. The next morning, he was back on the doorstep, surrounded by a ring of black cats, their green eyes staring up at the household. The cats had brought him back. His parents kept him out of fear more than love, and eventually gave him the name Echo. River preferred to call him Seven. Seven, what brings you here? Something on your mind? Echo shook his head. Then after a pause, he spoke. A lot of people were supposed to die, but the goddess appeared and the future changed. What future? Seven, you've had enough to eat tonight. Don't fill your head with heavy things. Let yourself breathe. There was a variable. In the end, this village was only supposed to have 3 survivors. You, me, and Zane. But now everyone made it. What kind of nonsense is that? Echo said nothing. He turned and ran. I'd been watching from the edge of the box, half ready to lean over and ask him what he meant, but he was 5 or 6 years old and closed off even by his own standards. Even if I asked, he might not be able to explain. Better to keep watching. Late that night, after everyone had gone to sleep, I sat down to refine some healing pills out of boredom. That's when I caught movement at the edge of my vision. A group of figures slipped out of the blood fog. Low, deliberate, moving in the shadows. They entered the village. I'd only unlocked Jiang village so far. Everything beyond it was swallowed in blood fog. No idea what lay outside. I looked closer. These newcomers were big. Every one of them built like they meant business. Especially the man at the front. A long blade hanging at his hip. Stone, why did we have to come to Jiang village in the middle of the night? Our village has the prophet. The prophet led us to hunt poison beasts, taught us to filter the toxins from their blood, let us bathe in it to build up our strength, and showed us how to cook the meat. That's how we survived this drought. Now the prophet has made a new prophecy. Jiang village is about to produce catastrophic killers. We need to stop them before they awaken. Who are these killers? That sounds terrifying. Can we even take them? I don't know. The prophet said Jiang village will produce 3 catastrophic killers. Cold, vicious, immune to blades and fire. Once they awaken, it'll be too late. That's why we move now. Stone, you can count on us. Whatever the prophet says, we'll see it through. The prophet said they're all men, but he couldn't identify them specifically. So tonight our job is simple. Every male in Jiang village dies. No exceptions. Young, old, doesn't matter. We kill every last one. Once it's done, we go home. Kill them all? That's too far. None of them had ever killed a person before. This was different. Stone's words hit hard and every one of them felt it. Stone had never killed anyone either, but he had to keep them moving. Has the prophet ever led us wrong? Honestly, this is hard for me too. But if these killers awaken, it won't just be Jiang village that dies. It'll spread everywhere. Countless lives. That got them moving again. Oh, absolutely not. These little people were mine. No outsider was touching them. I went outside and came back with a large boulder. I set it down directly in their path. What? Where did that come from? Why is there a boulder blocking the road? The heavens are warning us not to enter Jiang village. That rock fell straight from the sky. The path is completely sealed. Stone's forehead was damp. He'd been walking at the front. A few more steps and he'd have been flattened. The group lost their nerve. This boulder is unmovable. Let's go back and ask the prophet. He won't know what this means either. They turned around. They'd barely taken 15 steps when they heard something behind them. They turned. The boulder was floating. It drifted back up into the air and vanished. That rock has a mind of its own. Stone was clearly the brave one. After staring for a moment, after a few seconds of hesitation, he actually said, "Pass clear now. Wait here. I'll go check." And he started walking toward Jiang village again. I almost laughed. I put the rock back. Stone's knees gave out. His blade hit the ground. He didn't stop to pick it up. He turned and ran, scrambling and stumbling, full sprint. And that set everyone else off. They were villagers, not soldiers. No formation, no discipline. In seconds, they'd scattered back into the blood fog and out of sight. I sat with that for a moment. What had Echo said tonight? That in the end, only 3 people were supposed to survive this village. And Stone's group had just shown up talking about killers. 3. I was fairly sure those 3 killers were River, Ray, and Echo. But the awakening was tied to starvation and extreme desperation. And I was feeding these people every single day. That was never going to happen. I pulled 3 basins out of my inventory, one of white sugar, one of vinegar, one of cooking oil. I wasn't going to drop them all in one spot this time. I set one in each of the courtyards of Echo, River, and Zane. They could figure out the sharing themselves. There was still another problem. Stone's group had run off now, but they might come back. I couldn't watch the village around the clock. And on top of that, I had supply runs to make. I couldn't come back one day and find all the men gone. I had to give these people a way to protect themselves. I was a cultivator. I could set up a barrier around the village. I pushed spiritual energy toward the village, but any technique that crossed the border dissolved on contact, breaking apart into raw energy and fading away. The pocket realm repelled all magic. I was stuck. If magic was off the table, I'd need a contracted guardian, a spirit beast to keep watch. In the meantime, I dragged several more boulders over and completely blocked the eastern road. Done with all of this, I was just heading back to my room to rest when I noticed lights on in several houses. Some of the little people had woken up in the middle of the night and were headed to the kitchen. I've raised a village of foodies, woken up hungry in the middle of the night, and the answer was apparently to start cooking. Zane was up too. He spotted a basin of something unfamiliar in the courtyard and immediately went to shake Ray awake. The goddess left us something. Ray, half asleep and not at all happy about it, was out the door the moment he heard those words. He grabbed a bowl out of habit, expecting something sweet like last time, and leaned in close. "That's oil," Ray swallowed. His face broke into quiet, genuine gratitude. The goddess has been pretty distant lately, like she doesn't want to talk, but Zane bowed toward the basin anyway. "Thank you." He was planning to go back to sleep. Then he saw Ray at the stove. "Big brother, it's the middle of the night. Why are you stir-frying?" "She gave us vegetables. Then salt. Now oil. Of course I'm cooking. The eggplant and potatoes from before, nothing fancy, just a late-night snack." "No, I filed that away for tomorrow. Time to restock at the market. Time to make their menu a little more exciting." Meanwhile, Echo and River had both woken up too. Hunger again. River felt heat prickling along his limbs and decided to boil some vegetables. He stepped outside and immediately caught the smell of vinegar. A large stone basin of it sat right there in his courtyard. River looked up out of habit. Stars everywhere. No other presents. He clasped his hands toward the sky in thanks. Next door, Echo crouched in front of the basin in his own courtyard. He dipped a finger in and tasted it. Too sweet. He dissolved some sugar into water, thought about it, then knocked on River's door. "Come in." Echo held out a bowl without a word. "Thank you." River accepted it and invited Echo to share his boiled vegetables. After the meal, River was about to try to make conversation, but Echo had already quietly washed both their bowls and slipped out the door. The next morning, I ran the usual feeding round while keeping an eye on things. "Do any of you know what's to the east of the village?" "That would be Willow Village, my lady." Last night, a group of young men came from that direction. They were carrying blades. Carrying blades? I looked at him and nodded. "About 20 of them. All big. Zane, 20 men. Can you take them? I've got strength, not 6 arms. I've already blocked the eastern road with boulders. They shouldn't be able to break through for now." "Thank you, my lady. You saved us. What weapons should I get you?" "I can try to source some. And I've been wondering, should I build a wall around the village? But you only have 35 people total. 13 of them are children. The other 22 are adults. But Willow Village has fighters who can take down poison beasts. A direct fight isn't winnable. If outsiders break through, offer them food. Tell them Jiang Village has more food and water than it knows what to do with. Killers are born from starvation and desperation. situation. If Willow Village sees that you're living well, they'll know there's no killer here, and no reason to come after you. I need to step out this morning. I might not be watching. Remember, your lives come first. Everything else can wait. Thank you, my lady. We'll remember. If we're ever in danger, can we invoke your name? They don't know who I am. Then could we tell people this village has a guardian? We take the crescent moon as our symbol, and call you Lady Moon. I looked at their hopeful faces and didn't say no. The goddess just spoke. She agreed. She actually agreed. We need to carve her statue immediately, something to pray at. Everyone calm down, I have some vinegar to spare. If anyone needs it, come by. I have cooking oil. Echo said nothing. He just reached over and grabbed a corner of River's sleeve, blinking up at him with dark, unreadable eyes. There's something I want to discuss with you. You live alone, so do I. What if I cleared out a room? You could move in with me. If you don't mind, I'd like you to be my little brother. I'd treat you like family. We'd look out for each other. I can move in. I can take your name too. Moving in, yes. Changing your name, that's not necessary. Then I'll be Shen Echo. After that, River organized a group to walk the eastern road. Sure enough, boulders everywhere. Without warning, Zane dropped to the ground and pressed his ear flat against the dirt. Nobody knew what he was doing. A moment later, he stood. I can hear something. Stone cracking, heavy footsteps. Could be Willow Village again? Sounds like they're breaking through the boulders. 7. Run home and grab me a cleaver. Okay. I say we drag some basins out here. They came to kill, which means they're hungry, they're thirsty. Put food in front of them. The moment they break through and see it, they'll think twice. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, I stepped out of my room and took to the air on my sword, touching down on a busy street in the human world. Street food stalls lined both sides of the road. I picked up a spread of breakfast things. This one and that one, wrap them all up for me. I wandered along, picking up anything that seemed useful along the way. Then I stopped at several restaurants and loaded up on dozens of dishes, storing everything in my inventory. When I was done, I flew back to the sect and went to check on the foxes. One mother fox, 4 cubs, white as fresh snow. She'd been napping in the sun. The moment she spotted me, she was wide awake. Sect leader, one of my children died. How? Your lovely disciple, the female lead. I closed my eyes for one moment. She fed my smallest one until it burst. What do you want me to do? If you're asking me to let her pay with her life, that's not happening. She's the female lead. That's not what I want. I just need a master. You've been refusing to contract with me. We can contract right now. The mother fox stared at me like she'd misheard. I signed a contract with her on the spot, moved the whole family into my courtyard, and gave everyone names. The mother became Snow. The 4 cubs I kept simple, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I pulled out a table, a cutting board, a cleaver, and a spread of dishes. Snow's eyes lit up. Master, is all of this for me? I pressed a fasting pill between her teeth before she could finish the sentence. She swallowed it expecting something miraculous, and then just felt full. A fasting pill. Snow had never gotten one before. Back when Leon and the others could barely scrape together enough for themselves, there was nothing left over for a fox. Can you use a cleaver? I need everything on these plates cut into small pieces. Snow nodded. I have a technique for that. Before I could respond, spiritual energy surged around her. Every dish on the table lifted into the air. 2 cleavers flew up behind them. The blades blurred, cutting so fast they left afterimage dozens of cuts in seconds. Every dish perfectly minced. Snow gave her tail a refined little shake. Now that I have a fasting pill who needs all this mortal food, I'd only meant to give her a small task while I went to check on the village. Turns out she was significantly faster than Finn. I handed her 4 more fasting pills. Snow, take these 4 fasting pills. They're for the cubs. They're small. Half a pill each is enough. I don't mind. The rest are yours. Thank you, master. Snow lit up and trotted off to feed the cubs. With our contract in place, loyalty wasn't a concern. I went inside to check on the pocket realm. While I'd been gone, Willow Village had sent in their heavy hitter. This elder could shatter a boulder with one punch. The catch was each punch left him needing a rest and a sip of beast blood to recover. Stone and the others flanked him the whole way. The old man's hair was white, his steps careful, but every strike he landed rattled the air. After each blow, Stone's crew cleared the rubble. Slow going. It took a long time to work through every boulder. By the time the last one was cleared, everyone was exhausted. Stone was about to call for a rest when he realized the people of Jiang Village were already standing there waiting. Zane stepped forward. He saw the blades, his jaw tightened. You came here for food, right? We came here for lives. We're all just trying to survive. No need for violence. Our village has more food than we know what to do with. You've traveled far. Let us offer you a proper welcome. A few villagers set 3 stone basins on the ground. Bowls and chopsticks followed. The Willow Village group whispered among themselves. Jiang Village has no prophet to guide them. They probably ate their last bark weeks ago. What are they going to feed us? Should we eat it? Don't. What if it's poisoned? Just then, Zane pulled the cloth covers off all 3 basins. Scrambled eggs. Where did they get eggs? And oil? Golden millet porridge with grains the size of someone's thumb. Is Jiang Village actually this wealthy? Nobody recognized the sweet and sour pork. Someone started drooling anyway, especially the elder who'd been breaking boulders. He'd had his beast blood, but he still looked hollowed out. He twitched his nose. I want meat. You can't bring weapons into the village. Friend, what if there's something in the food? You'd take us all down at once. I'll eat every dish first. Watch me. Stone still didn't buy it. Poison could be on the bowls and chopsticks, not just the food. One question. Did it rain here? Not rain. A waterfall. There's a drought everywhere. How do you have a waterfall? The goddess watches over us. Where's this goddess? Everyone looked up at the empty sky, which was exactly when I got back and leaned over to check on things. Zane's eyes flashed with quiet relief. You're back. Good timing. Nobody's drawn blood yet. Thank the boulders for that. Tell them. The goddess says she can provide enough water and food for all of you. You think talking to the air is going to scare us? I smiled. and said nothing. I dropped a basin of clean water directly in front of them. The Willow Village group went still. They watched the basin land. A falling rock was one thing, but water appearing from thin air. This is the goddess's gift. Am I dreaming? Stone stepped forward first. He set down his blade, cupped the water in both hands, and drank. It's real. It's actually real. Some still didn't believe it. I set another basin of clean water down behind the group. 5 or 6 of the younger men dropped their weapons and crowded around it drinking. A few dunked their whole heads in. Zane scowled. The goddess values cleanliness. Show some dignity. How come you can see the goddess and we can't? Zane hadn't figured out how to answer that. Ray spoke from behind him. Because she's our guardian. You're not from this village. That's when Eldersong pushed through to the front, picked up a bowl and chopsticks, scooped a full serving of sweet and sour pork and started eating. Big bites. Stone rushed over. Eldersong was the closest thing Willow Village had to a patriarch. Over 200 years old. Nothing could happen to him. The elder swallowed and gave one slow nod. Good. Very good. I'm old. Even if there's something in this food, it doesn't matter anymore. Consider it a taste test. He chuckled. A real easy laugh. He was halfway through and reaching for the scrambled eggs when all 3 basins disappeared. She's not letting us eat anymore? That food had gone cold. Cold food is hard on the stomach. Zane passed along my words. I set fresh basins down. Steaming millet porridge, goat milk, sweet and sour pork, chicken legs, and scrambled eggs. With the elder leading the way, the rest of the group slowly let go of their weapons and found themselves bowls. They settled along the roadside and started eating. This is incredible! I've never had food like this. Why does the goddess only bless Jang Village and not ours? We get enough to eat, but nothing like this. Stone was still thinking about the prophet's warning. But Jang Village had a guardian, and every one of his people had been completely won over by the food, their blades forgotten in the dirt. Stone let out a long breath and helped himself to some chicken. A few minutes later, his stomach was full and round. If every day could be like this, the killers were the absolute last thing on his mind. After the meal, Stone stepped forward as Willow Village's representative. We'd like to take some food back with us. We won't take it for free. We'll send silver next time. Zane was not a negotiator. River stepped in. How much silver can you really spare? Silver runs out. We don't need silver, but we do need stonemasons. You want me? I'm Stone. I've got 4 cousins. We all come from Mason families. Perfect. We have empty homes sitting unused. Your whole group could relocate here. 3 full meals every day. In exchange, you need to carve us a statue of the goddess. I could carve it back in Willow Village and bring it to you, but you'd rather not settle here. How long would the carving take? Hard to say. I don't know what she looks like, and I'd need to find the right stone first. They worked out the details. Meanwhile, Zane rounded up the village's ox carts. The first one was loaded with a stone basin of scrambled eggs covered with a cloth. Eldersong peered at the covering. Is there a reason for the cloth? The goddess values cleanliness. She doesn't want dust getting into the food on the road. People glanced down at their own clothes. Sweat and grime baked in by the sun. In a drought like this, nobody wasted water on washing. But the people of Jiang Village, every one of them stood there in clean clothes, clear-eyed, carrying themselves differently. Something like quiet shame settled in. Willow Village went silent and took their basin of scrambled eggs without another word. There were 2 ox carts. The first was loaded. The second was empty. This cart's empty. What do you want on it? Everyone had a different opinion. Meat, goat milk, fresh water. The arguing started. Zane held up a hand. Stop. The goddess just said she could send a basin of each. That's right. You just need to make a few trips. Willow Village went quiet. They'd arrived here with blades. Now they were being sent off with a feast. Nobody knew where to look. That's too much. Water is enough. The goddess is generous. She takes pity on your hardships and wants you to have this. Remember her kindness. Don't speak ill of her. Scholar, what do you take us for? We'd never repay kindness with betrayal. Stone's face went red. He left his blade on the ground and didn't look back. They'd eaten their fill, drunk their fill, and were walking away with a load of food. How could anyone raise a blade against these people? Part of the Willow Village group headed out with the food. Another group stayed behind as escort. The road had been cleared of poison beasts, but new ones could always show up. Better safe than sorry. Stone stayed to finalize the carving arrangement with River. River also mentioned, by the way, we're planning to open a school here. Any of your people interested in learning to read? You have a teacher? I'm a scholar. I can manage. That explains it. You carry yourself like someone educated. A scholar, of course. Surviving is the only priority right now. Reading can wait. Willow Village has gone all in on combat training. We do have one educated person, but that's the prophet. The prophet, oops, slipped out. But you have a guardian now. No harm in telling you. The prophet can see the future and taught us how to train our bodies and build strength. And I'm not exaggerating when I say our weakest 7-year-old could drop your entire village. Zane was on his feet immediately. Let's go. Right now. Ha, sure, light contact, just a spar. They found an open patch of ground. River acted as referee. Ray and the others gathered to watch. Stone held back. When the signal came, he stayed put and let Zane move first. He stood there watching as Zane swung a fist at him, too slow, wide open from every angle. Those thoughts flashed through his mind, and then the punch connected. Stone's chest caved in. Something surged wrong inside him. The world went dark. His body left the ground, launched clean off his feet by a single hook, and hit the earth hard. He coughed blood. Zane froze, pulling back his fist. He looked so calm I figured he was a pro. I didn't want to hold back. Turns out Stone looks tough but couldn't take a hit to save his life. The village had a doctor once. Not anymore. Everyone stood there helpless with no idea what to do. Stone, you can't die here. Stay with us. Hang in there. We're praying to the goddess right now. I had no healing pills ready. I tried casting a healing technique. Nothing. The pocket realm ate it whole. I set down a basin of spirit rice instead. Still warm, with a faint clean scent rising off it. For cultivators, spirit rice barely registered registers as treatment. But for ordinary people, it worked differently. The goddess sent rice. Give it to him now! Stone's mouth still tasted like blood. I have internal injuries. I need real medicine, not rice. What is rice going to do? But when he actually looked at what Ray was holding, he stopped. Who has rice this big? He took a bite. His eyes went wide. It smells incredible. What is this? I feel warm all over. The pain is just gone. It's the goddess's spirit, rice. She's given it to us twice before. I didn't notice much, just that my digestion improved and I felt stronger all over. I never expected it could heal internal injuries. Stone bowed his head. Thank you. He looked away. I was just done bragging and then Jiang Village knocked me into the dirt. I want to disappear. River sketched my likeness from memory and handed the drawing to Stone to use as a reference. No problem. I'll get my cousins started the moment I'm back. We'll move fast. Stone's eyes lingered on the basin of spirit rice. River didn't look at him. Spirit rice is precious. It's not something we give away. I said nothing either. These were my villagers. I didn't know the Willow Village people well enough yet. An hour and a half later, the Willow Village group returned the 2 empty basins and brought 2 horses with them. Pitch black with red eyes. Jiang Village tensed immediately. Poison beasts. The defining mark of a poison beast was those red eyes. Willow Village quickly explained. These 2 had been tamed. I was genuinely surprised. I'd assumed this was an ordinary settlement of mortals, and my spiritual energy didn't function inside the pocket realm. But if the prophet could form contracts with poison beasts, maybe these little people were capable of cultivation after all. I suddenly very much wanted to meet this prophet, but I wasn't in a hurry. A new region unlocked every 2 weeks. Willow Village might be next. We'd meet eventually. The horses took the carts this time, 2 basins each. Willow Village departed with thanks. That evening, I brought out a new spread for the village. Braised Venden tendon, stir-fried lettuce, brown sugar buns, 8 treasure porridge, and a full basin of sliced banana. The villagers had assumed my menu was fixed. Tonight changed that. I refilled the sacred pool with fresh water, then went to find Snow. Snow, come here, I need a favor. I waved her over. The Cloud Fox clan reaches human form at 5 tails. You're at 3 right now. Master, what is it? I've been raising a group of mortals. I'm worried about their safety. I need you to keep watch over them at night. Easy. I don't sleep at night anyway. I carried her into my room. Snow looked around, curious. Why is there such a big cardboard box on the floor? I held her up over the edge. She looked down. Who made this? There are tiny people moving around inside. That's the mortal village I've been raising. Last night I was watching. Outsiders almost broke in and killed everyone. They're small, they work hard, and survival isn't easy. If outsiders break through, don't hurt anyone. I'm a cultivated spirit beast. I won't take lives and invite karmic consequences. If outsiders try to enter the village, I'll cast an illusion and drive them away. The pocket realm neutralizes spiritual techniques. Your illusion might not work inside it. I've already stockpiled boulders nearby. Use those to block any roads. Snow tilted her head. Can my paw even reach in there? Try it. It should work. Snow drifted upward, stepping on air, and appeared directly above Jiang Village. River looked up. The sky darkened. Everyone had just finished eating. A fox! I leaned over and showed half my face. Don't be afraid. This is a spirit beast I've raised. Her name is Hello. Snow waved a paw down at them. She reached in to pick up one of the basins. The paw wasn't great for this. She almost dropped it, but caught it just in time. My apologies. Feeding them is your job, Master. I'll stick to protection. Without human form, this really is awkward. She settled back into my arms. I've only cultivated for 3,000 years. 3 tails. 2,000 more years and I'll have human form. 2,000 years? My little people will all be long gone by then. Stay here and watch them. I'm going to start working on a transformation pill for you. You know how to refine transformation pills? I do. But if anything happens to my villagers while you're on watch, you can forget about that pill. Leave it to me, Master. I'm a spirit fox. Staying up to watch over them at night is nothing. I could go 300 years without sleep and still be fine. I was at the golden core stage myself. Cultivators didn't need much sleep. I held off on the transformation pill for now. Not enough ingredients. Instead, I refined a batch of healing pills, then headed back to my room to meditate. I'd been transmigrated into this world for days now, spending all my time exploring and feeding the village. I hadn't sat down to cultivate once. A full night of meditation. My spiritual energy moved by a fraction. According to the original story, the original soul had been a prodigy in her early years, but at the golden core stage, she stalled out completely. She could never break through to nascent soul. I understood why. The male and female leads needed room to rise. If the villain's cultivation shot up like a rocket, they'd never close the gap. Take the male lead. Leon spent 300 years just to finally surpass the original soul in stage, which meant he'd spent roughly 300 years taking a beating every single month. 300 years of the soul whip. When he finally got his revenge, you can imagine how bad it would be. I shuddered. That wasn't going to be me. I'd already stopped using the whip. The plot had shifted. There was no reason my cultivation had to stay frozen forever. The meditation session ended at dawn. I stood up and got ready to feed the village. Snow was draped over the edge of the cardboard box, both dark eyes fixed, unblinking, on Jiang Village below. Maybe having a pet really was kind of nice.